Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'll be handing it over to another team member, PvPisistratus, to take an in-depth look at how IVs can change the outcome of a battle. This video is aimed at more advanced players who are looking to invest in different IV combinations. So if you're a newer player, we'd recommend going back to look at some of our other videos, as this information might not apply to your battles yet. As this info is more advanced, feel free to post any questions you have down in the comments, and we'll do our best to get to as many as we can.
Hello, I am PvPisistratus. I run a Pokemon Go PvP and Statistics YouTube channel. I'm on the Silpharina meta development team and the creator of the random battles model we'll be using today, which is also featured in the Silpharina GBL rankings. There's actually no randomness involved in today's matchup, because this matchup was specifically chosen to show the effects of IVs with as little convolution from human decision making as possible. In other words, we chose a matchup where at each turn the only things you can do are nothing or a fast move. And since doing nothing when you can do a fast move is generally bad, we'll ignore that possibility. Also, since this is a 1v1, we'll be ignoring switches. So this matchup is between my Hunnet, that's a 15-15-15 Clefable, versus my opponent's 6-15-13 Gramble, both at max level, which is 21.5 for each of these Pokemon. Additionally, this is a matchup you might see in a Sorcerer's Cup battle. With these IVs on the Gramble, it doesn't matter what IVs my Clefable has, it'll always win. But by how much it wins by is extremely important, because that could determine whether or not I could use the Meteor Mash, which can easily flip an entire game. So, what are perfect IVs? Well, the maximum IV you can get is 15 in each stat, just like my Clefable, but for Great and Ultra League PvP, that's not usually preferred. In fact, if we look at the histogram of possible battle scores against that specific Gramble with any IV Clefable, we can see that mine is actually somewhere in the middle, meaning I don't come out of that matchup with as much health as I could. As a side note, the score here, that's the horizontal x-axis, is 0.5 from winning the match, plus 1/2 of the HP left over on my Clefable divided by its starting HP. This is exactly analogous to the PvPoke score, just multiplied by 1000. And yes, these values do match PvPokes, to the best of my knowledge. To understand why a Hunnet isn't perfect for PvP, we need to know how CP is calculated. So CP, or combat power, is an analog of how well a Pokemon will do in battles. But importantly for us, it's also what determines eligibility in Great and Ultra League, namely that the CP must be below 1500 and 2500 respectively. This, in effect, limits the level of your Pokemon, which changes its overall stats. The CP formula is based on the overall attack, defense, and HP stats of a Pokemon, but for defense and HP, the square roots are taken. Thus, the attack takes up more CP, which then reduces the maximum level, which reduces all of the stats that are actually used in the game mechanics, that's attack, defense, and HP. Thus, a new metric was born, the stat product, which is a simple multiplication of the Pokemon's attack, defense, and HP stats. This is what's referred to when you have a rank in Pokemon. So let's go back to that Clefable versus Gramble battle. We can now sort all of the IVs by their maximum stat product, transforming this graph into this simpler graph. And for the most part, it's a really good metric. As the stat product increases, generally speaking, so does the score in the battle. However, it's not perfect. In fact, at the highest stat product Clefable, that is that rightmost point, performs significantly worse than a good number of other IVs. In order to understand what those two groups are, we need to understand how damage is calculated. Essentially, the overall stats of your Pokemon are used in two places in PvP, aside from the starting hit points. One of them is when damage is calculated, the actual amount that is chipped away from the HP. For the Clefable versus Gramble battle, most of these factors are constant, including the base power of the move, same type attack bonus, buff modifiers, and effectiveness. But if you vary the Clefable's IVs, you will change the Clefable's attack in the numerator for Clefable's charm damage, or Clefable's defense in the denominator for the Gramble's charm damage. However, the important factor here is that this value is actually floored, which means that everything past the decimal point is just chopped off. So, if we graph all 4096 IV combinations attack versus the score, we see an overall downward trend, because the more attack a Pokemon has, the less it can have in defense and HP and still be Great League eligible. However, there's a sharp break just before 116. This is because at that attack, Charm deals 1 more damage to the Gramble, which reduces the number of charms required to feint it, thus taking 1 less charm itself. This is referred to as a breakpoint. There's actually another breakpoint, but it doesn't reduce the number of charms needed to kill the Gramble, so we don't see a similar break for it. We can see a similar trend in the defense stat. At 2 different amounts of defense, the denominator in that damage calculation is actually high enough that Clefable takes 1 less damage per charm. These are similarly referred to as bulk points, and along with breakpoints, they can be calculated on pvpoke.com. Note that both of these depend on your opponent's IVs as well. There's one final intricacy that complicates the game because of IVs, and we purposely did not discuss this. It's the second place that overall stats are used, which is to determine charge move priority, which is based on who has the higher attack stat, that is the overall stat, not the IVs. This incentivizes a different set of IVs and is also very matchup specific because it only applies in ties and only if the possible attack stat ranges overlap. As you can see, there are a number of intricacies that can change how your IVs can affect particular battles, even in the simplest fast move only case. And these intricacies are based on your opponent's Pokemon and IVs, so to go beyond the stat product, you need to know what targets your Pokemon has in a particular meta.
Thank you all for watching. We hope this video has helped you better understand the effects of different IV combinations, and as always, we will answer any more questions you have down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up to date on all our PvP content and guides.